Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. I am sick and goddamn tired of seeing the same tired, faux inspirational, you can make it if you really try, terrible bits of advice that capitalists and pro capitalists keep trying to put in our faces. For example, how many times have you heard something along the lines of, look, instead of spending this $20 on such frivolity, take that and invest it? So, on the surface, right, that sounds like, oh, well, you know what? That's really sensible, good advice. Take spare money and invest it. And yeah, you know what? It's good to always set aside, even if it's just a little bit of spare change, set it aside, grow a fund for something, new car, go for a nice date out with your partner, something like that. It all sounds kind of nice. Put it away in your savings account. Here's the problem. Lots of places will have bare minimums for which you can deposit something for investment. And if you instead, like many Americans, put it into a bank, it's usually not going to generate many returns because the bank recognizes that it's way easier to make money off of you by charging overdraft fees than on you gaining, a few cents on $20, if you're even lucky to make that. And saying, just invest it. So financial literacy is a thing, and it's also a thing that not everyone has or has access to. So if you're saying just invest it, okay, great. Please tell me how someone in a community of 500 people somewhere in the heartland or in rural Canada or the middle of bumfuck nowhere Europe, how are they going to actually know the first thing about going off and investing? So, okay, great. Then the answer to that should very rightly be, well, talk to an investment specialist. Okay, if you're in the country, your nearest investment specialist is, if you're lucky, a town or two over, or at worst, in the big city, which is further. So now you need to arrange transportation and, maybe also need food and things like that. And oh, look at that. All of a sudden that $20 is gone. And all of this blatantly ignores the reality that millions of Americans, Canadians, Australians, people around the world are living paycheck to paycheck because their wages continue to decline in terms of average productivity and the cost of living continues to skyrocket. Telling someone who barely has money to, afford to feed themselves and keep the lights and the heat on in their place, telling them, hey, just invest that $20 is beyond useless when they don't even have $20 to spare. I'm lucky. I have a decent job with benefits. I like this job. I'd like to keep it. But depending on how things go in the future and the excesses of capitalism bringing down the world yet again, job security is tenuous for a lot of people. This idea of just, you just need to think bigger and, take a little bit here and invest it. Or, it's the same thing with avocado toast and, people going to Starbucks. And on the one hand, one of the counter arguments is, okay, so then are we supporting businesses in the economy or not? But then beyond that, there's this idea of, hey, invest, right? Just set some money aside and you can start growing things. There are so many stories out there of people who have done that. People who have taken, whatever little money they can and set it aside for a rainy day. But because there's no social support system, one flat tire, one missed job interview, one sickness, one broken arm, one little mishap in an entire year's worth of living, or let alone a lifetime of living. It just takes one event to erase all of that. You see it with Americans going into debt from medical bills despite having good jobs and saving up for years and years, and they have to take out a second mortgage on their house and they are still in debt. It's people who still try and set aside money for a rainy day but then they become saddled with a codependent. Either their child or their parent has fallen ill and they need to support them on what little income they were already making. You wonder why America and, Canada and other places in the West have such huge credit card problems where people are just running up the bills on their credit cards, because they are facing problems without adequate societal support, and that is their only avenue. And then that traps them in the system of having to repay and pay interest all the time, and it never goes down. Telling someone just invest it ignores the greater problems that surround that arguably good idea. And the fact that more people don't recognize that is absolutely bothering me today.